Welcome back. And yes, you're still watching Unleashing Your Potential with myself, Coach Toriso. We are still defining shapes. We are still defining shapes, yeah? So we spoke about the situationship or conditionalship. Now, how do I know when to get into the relationship? Here I am saying that I think I want to get into a relationship. How do I go about getting into a relationship? Not these other ships. How do I go about that? Where do I start? Is there a checklist or, you know?
There's one thing that a lot of people don't like to do, which can really help them to identify what kind of a ship they are in. There's nothing wrong with having a checklist.
Okay.
But the checklist needs to be realistic.
Okay.
Because you cannot have a checklist of tall, dark, and handsome. You cannot have a checklist of, you know, Coca-Cola bottle and stuff like that. You can't do that.
So it's
you
not
need
realistic.
to be realistic. Because at the end of the day, it is who you want, not what you want.
Yeah.
You want to connect with the person that they are.
Yeah.
Not what you have in your mind. Because sometimes we design the type of, as men, the type of woman that I want, you know, and even as women, you design the type of men that you want. But the right man for you, in most cases, does not come in the package that you expected. So what you need to do is to say, here is my list. I'm looking for a godly man. I'm looking for a principled man. I'm looking for a man with vision. I'm looking for a man who understands who he is or whose he is, where he is going in this life. You can have a realistic list. It can be long. And when you meet that person, through how you interact and communicate with them, you can have the check or no, not here. And you must also be flexible in those. There are those principles that you need not to compromise on.
Yeah.
But there are those that you say, okay, I expected a tall guy. But now, Lord, this short guy, shorter than me, has got these qualities. Now, that is the compromise we're talking about, because it is the love that you are looking for. Also, you need to confirm it verbally.
Okay.
This is important. It might not happen on the first date that you meet. But let me tell you something. I always say to ladies, a man who's going to marry you, he knows the first day he sees you.
Hey, I agree.
She agrees. She can testify.
I agree to that.
I can.
I remember telling her last time, I said, hey, he will know.
Yeah,
And hey,
they know.
a month later, and then how? What's happening here? So men don't waste time. He knows. Because one thing that most men are attracted to is your character. Because a lot of ladies say, "Oh, men cannot handle, you know, independent women." It's not your independence that I'm concerned about. It is the attitude of independence that you have. You can be the best woman, you know, be there, do whatever that you do, but your character has to actually align with mine. I need to see, can she fit in my vision as a man? What kind of attitude is she bringing into this relationship? Now, if I see that, and we can see that the first day, doesn't have to take me a week or anything. Ask my wife, she knows. Saw her there. I still remember what she was wearing, how she was sitting, what she said. In fact, she said nothing during that time.
Okay.
But that image was imprinted in my mind, and it connected to my spirit. And I could say, you know what, even though, let me see, wait. But that never leaves a man. And a man does not have to take 11, 12, 15, 25 years to decide. He knows the first day he meets you. So there needs to be that element of confirmation, you know, from him to say, look, they don't like when a guy tells them the first day that I'm going to marry you. Like, how? It's the first time you see me.
And already.
And you don't know how long or where has these guys tried to understand who Toriso is.
That's true.
But there are those that are taking chances, but there are those, again, it is in how they tell you that. Because a man who speaks with authority and giving you that promise that I'm marrying you, that he loves you, believe me, he is not going to rest like Boaz. He's not going to rest up until it comes to pass.
And it's so romantic there. That is so romantic for me. You know, being firm to say that this is what you're going to do. That's like, ooh, I love that, right?
Yeah, no.
Yes,
I just want to add to what Tabo said, that men always know.
when they meet you that you are the one. Actually, my husband confirmed the same. The day I sent him an email, I responded to his email actually. He just quickly connected with the person I am, and he just knew that I'm going to be his wife. He actually says he even printed the email and kept it because he thought, wow, what kind of a woman is this? This is what I've been looking for. So that confirms that men always know, and they always make sure that they get and pursue that person that they connected with in that way. And you know, I just want to add and put a twist to what Thabo was saying. Thabo spoke about the list. And I want to say, before you find someone, find yourself. Because if you don't know who you are, if you don't know what you like, if you don't know what you don't like, if you don't know what your fears are, if you have not dealt with your past pains, if you are not over even your previous relationships, then you are not ready. You can have a list, but then look deep now into yourself. Are you ready? Are you ready to walk the journey with someone? In terms of marriage, are you ready to share your life with someone? Because, Toriso, we find ourselves now in marriages who are so selfish, like they are single people. They can't share, they can't really open up to the next person that they are married to because they were not ready. So it's very important that as an individual, you prepare yourself. Part of preparing yourself is knowing your worth as a woman, as a man. It's knowing your values, your principles. Where do you get them from? You get them from the Word of God. And for me, the list, for example, mine started with salvation. For me, salvation was at the top of the list. It was a deal breaker. If you are not saved, you are totally off.
It's a no-go area.
Whether you are a good guy or not, for me, if you are not saved, it was off. Because I learned, even from other relationships, that a good guy was never good enough for me. Because a good guy, when he comes across pressure in life, he doesn't have God. He doesn't have the Word of God to default to. So I didn't want to struggle with issues of whether we are going to see an inyanga or whether baru watwasa tomorrow. You know, when somebody is not saved, it's a risk. It's a huge risk that I was not willing to take. But now, going to the list must come from the Word of God, your principles. Do not be unequally yoked. For me, that was the first. If you don't get that one right, you're totally off. The second one, from knowing myself, how I value myself, knowing my worth. No, I will never date someone who doesn't respect me. I will not marry someone who doesn't value me, who doesn't have time for me. I will not marry someone who doesn't have a vision, who doesn't have a plan, someone who doesn't even have potential. I will not marry someone who don't know who they are. And the reason being that, Toriso, if you don't know who you are, you get married to this stranger. And later in life, find that it's difficult to correct because you're already in. You find yourself while you're in, and you realize that, wow, this guy is totally not what I'm looking for. You are in marriage already. So I just want to encourage you at the same time, those who are still single, to say, take your time. Find yourself first.
Wow.
And then you can come up with a list.
Okay, they say you gotta find yourself first, and you have to do the checklist after you have found you, right? Because you can't do the checklist without you being right first. You have to be right for somebody as you want the right person yourself. So it starts with ourselves, and then now we would know what to look for in the next person. And we'll see you after the break.